Oh, about 10. Hello, my name is Andrew and I'm the practice manager at Trenton Pet Hospital, and this is Dr. Ginny Beans. Sorry we're a few moments late. We've had appointments all morning, but this is going to be our first chat with a veterinarian live on Facebook. We hope to do a series every couple of weeks. Usually Wednesdays is probably going to be the time at around noon. And we are encouraging everyone to submit questions, submit us DMs. We're going to have a different topic every week, and it's going to be really informal and chat. So this week, Dr. Ginny has chosen to discuss insurance, pet insurance, and we have a number of questions that have already been submitted. So I'll let Dr. Ginny take it away and answer some common questions.
Well, hello, wonderful pet parents and friends. As Andrew said, my name is Dr. Ginny Beans, and I am the owner of Trenton Pet Hospital. I am, as all of us are, quite often on Facebook, and sometimes I read people comments and people questions, and I find there is a lot of misconception or misunderstanding when it comes to pet insurance. So I've decided to take it upon myself and maybe to dispel some of those myths and some of the questions which we commonly see. So I want to start from the basics. What is pet insurance? Pet insurance, it's like medical insurance, right? Like you go in, you get the treatments done, and the insurance will pay for part of the treatment which your pet needed to have. And we'll talk about a little bit more about the details. What exactly does it mean, the part? Does it pay for all of it, partial, etc., etc.? So pet insurance is a wonderful, wonderful tool to manage rising costs of medical expenses and actually in a lot of chronic conditions of our pets. So there is, of course, a concept of the pet insurance as peace of mind, right? It does give us peace of mind. Like I said, it's always nice. It's almost like, imagine like having an umbrella. Sometimes you don't need an umbrella, but when it pours, you really are excited. You do have an umbrella. So that's the same idea with the pet insurance. Why is it a good idea? In fact, I truly feel this should be a huge decision whenever you get a new pet, your adopted pet, especially if you get a puppy and a kitten. I do believe we need to spend many more time thinking about the pet insurance. Why? Well, because the fact is the cost of medical care as well as veterinary care is rising, okay? The cost of hiring people is rising. The cost of well-trained professionals is rising. It takes a lot of education, takes a lot of training to get very specific type of people to work in the veterinary medicine. And yes, they want to get paid well, so that translates in a higher deliverance of their medical costs. Not to mention the machines we have to have in our hospital, x-ray machines, lab machines, you name it, right? Unfortunately, all those costs do translate into higher medical costs. Now, another thing is emotional cost. Nowadays, the pets are not just, well, he's gonna get sick, like, just gonna go and get another one. No, we get our pets, we want them in our lives for as long as possible. It takes a lot of effort for us to train our puppies, get along with our kittens, and of course, we want that experience to be there for 16, 18, however long years they can give us. So as the pet's population ages, yes, their medical needs also do change. So I want to talk a little bit. Even 5 years ago, pet insurance was a relatively new concept in North America. And I'm going to say North America because I do know in Europe, pet insurance is a very popular choice because they already figured it all out. They know that costs will not go down and they would rather be protected. I think 25% of pets in Europe are currently insured, and that number is rising. Well, in North America, by comparison, I think less than 5% of pets are insured, okay? So one of the most common misconceptions I guess we should talk about how does it work. Depending on a pet insurance, some pet insurances will cover your whole bill, for example. Some will 90%, some 80%. Some pet insurances will not pay for an exam, but they will pay percentage of the medical treatment. Some pet insurances will cover for wellness care, even dental care. Other pet insurances will not. So how do we navigate about it? And sometimes the monthly cost, which is obviously always the most painful, I guess, sticking points, the monthly cost, right? It could be somewhat, you are in charge of that monthly cost. If you have a higher deductible, you're gonna have a less monthly cost. If you have a low deductible, you're gonna have more monthly cost. So that truly does depend on your budget, on your budgeting skills, I guess, and what can you afford. So my suggestion usually is make sure that you do have saved up your deductible. Choose your deductible carefully, because we had a few instances where a pet got into trouble, required some very extensive workup, big bill, and yet the customers, the clients, they chose a high deductible for a lower monthly payments, but then they had to pay the deductible and they were not prepared for that deductible. So in that case, having a pet insurance may sound, unnecessary, or why do I even have it if it's not able to help me? So I would like to share with my personal experience. I am a veterinarian, and yet I do have pet insurance on my own dog since she was a puppy. From the moment she came into my house, next day I got her on the pet insurance, and I chose a relatively low deductible because I knew that I was going to pay a bit higher monthly premiums. I also took advantage of our area. In our area, monthly premiums are a little bit lower. My dog, German Shepherd dog, is a higher premium breed, so that kind of, I had to take that into consideration. But let me tell you, over those years, she's 10 years old right now, it's unbelievable how much a pet insurance helped me to take care of my dog, get her the treatment, which may not everybody would be able to afford to do that. And she is on all kinds of medications and supplements, and some pet insurances do pay for your supplements and as well as prescribed diets, and that's what I do enjoy with my dog. So this is I'm a little bit nervous. I'm sorry if I speak too fast, but this is a very preliminary, a little bit of a background on the pet insurance. And Andrew, I know he had some questions, so maybe we can do a little bit of a dialogue.
Well, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of variables with pet insurance. I have 4 dogs and a cat. They're all insured. The deductible, the premiums, important things to think about. I know with some pets, depending on their age, it won't let you choose a certain deductible. So if you have an older pet, but may not have a pre-existing condition, they may have a higher set deductible because the likelihood of requiring the insurance is higher. So one of the things that I love to do, and I tell everybody, go on the websites, shop them. You can easily put in information such as your postal code, because insurance is very much geographically based, what breed you may be getting, sex, all sorts of questions like that, and they will give you some pricing. So, like Dr. Jenny says, when you're thinking about getting a pet, make sure that that is included in the thought process and the overall budgeting. But there are a lot of different insurances that offer a lot of different things. So one of the questions, for example, and insurance is not very black and white, and again, it's very dependent on what type of insurance you have. But one of the questions was, does pet insurance cover food or routine exams and testing?
Well, that's a very good question. Again, depending on their insurance company, some of them do, others do not. I know most insurances will not cover routine diets, but they will cover, at least temporarily, prescription diets. let's say that your pet was diagnosed with pancreatitis and he had a low-fat diet prescribed as a part of the treatment. Many pet insurances will cover the cost of the food for a certain period of time, and after that period of time they either not gonna cover it, or maybe they will cover a portion of the cost. So those are good things to ask as well when you are signing up for the pet insurance. A lot of insurances they will cover whatever up until certain amount, okay? If you are looking into one of those insurances up until certain amount, look at those amounts, because they may look like a lot, but they actually may not be enough.
$5,000 and $10,000 is not.
It's not.
That could be one illness these days.
One illness. I know that Pet Secure, and at some point, I don't know how they work right now, but many years ago, when my first original pet was on a Pet Secure, and I know they had $2,500 maximum per condition, like gastrointestinal condition, skin condition. And I can tell you right now, nowadays, $2,500 will not go very far at all. So keep that in mind as well. At Trenton Pet Hospital, we extensively work with Veterinarian. And one of the big misconceptions, do veterinarian get paid by the insurances to promote insurances? Absolutely, we do not. Heck, I think we get $1 of sweets a year from them.
Yeah, our kickback is a box of candy to thank us for introducing pet parents, which, I mean, it works out for us because, you know, pet care, #1 barrier is cost. So the more people who have their pets insured, the better it is for obviously the pet parents, us. You know, there aren't as many difficult decisions when it comes to that kind of care.
So one of the things to look at, for example, and I'm just using Trupanians as an example because my pet is currently with Trupanian, a lot of our employee pets are with Trupanian, and the way how it works is they have no maximum amounts per condition. They do have a deductible though per condition. Okay?
And it's sometimes, in a lot of cases, per calendar year as well. So you have to fulfill that deductible before they will pay out and up to certain limits. And again, once that resets based on your policy and when it starts, you'll have to pay that deductible again. So
not with Trupanian though. With Trupanian, there is one deductible and it's for the lifetime of the pet. Well, I love it because to me that works fantastic and it's very clear cut. So, but remember that then they're gonna have that deductible per condition. And it kind of bit me a little bit, such as my dog loves making skin masses, right? So there is a deductible per skin mass removal, not per skin. So that was very interesting, for example, for me to learn, right? So if she, for example, has a bladder infection and she has gastroenteritis, there will be a deductible per bladder infection, $250 or $500, whatever you signed up for, and there will be a deductible for gastroenteritis. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But on the other hand, once you satisfy the deductible per system, you can continue claiming expenses in that system. There is no maximum at all. And what I love about, I think right now only Trupanian does it. Maybe other insurances are getting to it, I don't know yet. But Trupanian also direct pay your veterinarian. So let's say that your pet ended up in an emergency hospital or in a referral facility with a very, very horrible disease, required very expensive treatments. For example, we had a case where a team member accidentally ran over their dog. It happens. Little dog got under
wasn't me.
Wasn't him. Wasn't the current team, but it did happen. So they had to grab that dog and take it directly to the Toronto Veterinary Emergency Hospital. The dog had a broken back, so required very extensive surgeries, very extensive workups. $10,000 was the final bill. Trupanion wired the referral facility 90% of the bill. So my team member only had to pay her deductible and 10% of the bill, which is like, what, $2,500 I think, or $1,000 was her final bill. And she got the dog back. So this is just one of the few success stories we have with regards to why this having a pet insurance, in my humble opinion, saves lives.
Well, I mean, we've seen a number of times where one of the nice things, I have OVMA pet insurance. So in that case, I have one deductible, but it covers, you know, a lot of different things than Dr. Ginny's insurance does. And it's going to be what works best for you. But with Trupanion, who we work with a lot, we give to, you know, clients that are coming in with new healthy pets, what's called a same-day exam offer. So Trupanion is able to give you a 30-day trial that we send to you via email once your appointment is complete, and you can activate. Now you have to activate it. There's no waiting period, and we'll get to waiting periods in a second. It's 30 days free coverage, I believe up to $10,000. We have seen a number of clients within that 30 days either not activate it and have a $10,000 bill, or in a happier case, activate it and within days of it expiring, use the entire thing because of an accident. And I mean, puppies and kittens are all over the place. God knows what can happen. It's happened. We've seen it firsthand. So, you know, it's definitely something to think about. One of the questions that came in actually was pertaining to waiting periods. And I mean, you know, if you have your own personal insurance, in a lot of cases there's a waiting period, right? You have to satisfy certain things. So I can say for me that the waiting period was approximately 2 weeks for my OVMA insurance. And essentially what that means is once you've signed up, and not just once you've signed up, you have to have your veterinarian office send an exam and records to the insurance company. So they want to see if there's any pre-existing conditions, that, you know, your pet is healthy or may have other conditions, and that will really determine what could potentially be your deductible, what your premiums are going to be. The estimate is based on an average healthy pet of that age and geographic area. So in my case, I would get one back. I would have my team send the records. They would come back and say, okay, great, you know, this pet has already had this issue in the past, so we're going to exclude it, meaning they won't have coverage for it. They'll have everything else. And you can start using it within 2 weeks. So that's the waiting period where, you know, it's a bit of a game, but it's an insurance thing where they make you wait. So I guess potentially you couldn't, you know, sign up and then cash in right away on a problem. So
absolutely. So when is the best time to get insurance? The best time to get insurance, the second you get, like literally the second you get your puppy or a kitten, take him straight to see us right away. While we are seeing the pet and he is healthy, deemed healthy, we will submit the healthy report right there in the exam room and get you a voucher. And those vouchers, you have to activate them.
Yes.
We cannot do it for you, but those vouchers will have no waiting period. Next day, you can already claim some expenses, and you haven't even made any monthly payment at all. At least this is how we work with Trupanion, and that's one of the reasons why I do enjoy working with Trupanion in that regard. They do have a lot of faith into people, right? So let's say you have adopted a pet, you don't know medical history, right? Is it worse for you to start an insurance? Absolutely it is. Same.
Well, that was one of the questions. If my pet's already sick, is there a point to getting insurance?
So with regards to, let's say you adopted a pet and you don't know whether it was sick, there is no medical records, it's already an adult pet. So what usually would happen is, again, there will be a waiting period in 1 month, sometimes it's 6 weeks, depends. And you do need to have a clean bill of health right away. Sometimes the insurance will come back to us and say, We need a healthy blood work. We need to check urine. We need to do certain
It's not
tests.
just an exam. They'll want more diagnostics,
Yeah.
which will cost you up front.
It will cost you up front, but man, if that all came back absolutely normal, they will cover all of those conditions and systems. So in my humble opinion, absolutely insurance is worthwhile. So the other question is, well, I have a cat, a dog, and from the younghood it had a heart murmur. Is it worthwhile for me to insure the pet? In my humble opinion, absolutely it is. He can run away tomorrow and
Everything else can still go wrong.
Exactly. Get hit by a car, God forbid, right? Or eat a tennis ball, God forbid.
Lyme disease.
Or wherever it is. Get a urinary tract infection, right? Like just because he has a heart disease doesn't mean that's the only disease this pet is gonna have, right? And chances are a lot of heart diseases will not even give any complications pretty much throughout the whole life of a pet. So again, absolutely yes, it is worthwhile to get the insurance, okay? So in my humble opinion, the best, I guess I should, there is another misconception. Well, I don't want to have a pet insurance. Instead, whatever I would be paying for a pet insurance, I'm going to be putting in my bank account. Well, it becomes unrealistic nowadays.
I mean, that's the lovely plan, but you know,
It's
2023, there's inflation, there's bills, there's surprises. That's why we have forced retirement, because if it was left up to us, we would all be in trouble. So, and I think to that kind of question as well, so Trenton Pet Hospital for, you know, many years, almost 15 years now, Dr. Janine's offered health plans, or wellness plans as they're sometimes called. And for example, a healthy adult pet who comes in, you know, we offer unlimited exams at no cost within this, you know, budgeted monthly payment. There's temperature microchips. You've got, you know, depending on the life stage, some plans have urinalysis and fecal, and they all have blood work. So those are the routine things that your pet would need, you know, for top-notch care within a year. There's often a misconception that that is a type of insurance. So a couple things go along with that. You know, is it insurance? No. Is it nice to know that you have unlimited exams and are not paying out of pocket for every single time you walk through the door? Absolutely. Now, I think one of the questions that people have said to me is, if I have $100 or $50 a month, what should I spend it on? A health plan or, you know, pet insurance? And as much as I would love for your pet to be on a health plan, it would be a lot more wise to have your pet invested in insurance, so that, heaven forbid, they do come in, there isn't that barrier. You're not making those really tough decisions. And let's be honest, that stuff is always happening at the worst of times. It's like when your fridge breaks. It's always when you know, it's at Christmas time, you've got big bills, you're emotionally stressed out. There's a lot of things going on. We often don't have time to think things through. People are often, you know, moving money around, calling families. A lot happens. So insurance eliminates most of that. And like Dr. Jenny said, there's direct billing, you know, and insurance just keeps getting better every year. They are offering new, you know, new coverages, new ways, I think, of making it accessible for clients. And, you know, one of the questions that had come through was, can I use my regular veterinarian? There's no limit on which veterinarian you can use with pet insurance. So,
yeah. In a perfect world, when you get a pet, you should be budgeting for a cost for a medical insurance, a cost for a wellness plan, and have a plan to set aside savings for the deductible, and then you're gonna be fully covered, in my humble opinion.
It's really treating them like children, except they're not in hockey or dance. You're just investing in everything else.
Exactly. And then you're going to be fully covered, and you're going to be prepared for any nasty emergencies.
What about spays and neuters? One of the questions was, are spays and neuters covered by insurance?
Most of them are not covered for insurance. That should be part of your savings for the first year of a pet's life. Our wellness plans do not cover any more spay neuters. We used to have them, but we decided not to. So that should be part of your budgeting process. When you get a pet, you should be putting aside money for a spay neuter we all know that the first year of puppy or kitten's life is the most expensive year, the most expensive. So you probably should be putting aside, would you say $1,500 at least?
I would
Right?
I would suggest $1,500, and that's without even looking at I think the vaccines. You know, depending on where they're coming from, you could be upwards of $600 for 3 sets of vaccines to make sure they're covered. So people will often go in and get a designer puppy, or spend $2,000, but then they're spent, and then they haven't budgeted, or they don't realize the rest of the cost just within that first year. And I mean, yes, you don't have to necessarily, do a spay and neuter every year, but you're vaccinating every year. You're, hopefully doing your flea, tick, heartworm every year. That's assuming, again, they're not on a vet recommended diet. There's a huge cost to pet ownership, and that's just per pet. So
yeah. So there is a myth that insurance is a luxury item and that it is too expensive. Well, in my humble opinion, it's actually very expensive not to have an insurance. It's nice when you are paying monthly payments and, you never get to use insurance. Hey, okay, yes, maybe you did not win the lottery, but still, God forbid, you get one incident, and all of a sudden you have $5,000-$6,000 bill. Well, it's not nice to have an insurance which will pay that bill, and all you have to do is cover up the deductible. So in that regard, I think, again, in my opinion, it's almost too expensive not to have an insurance. In fact, insurance should be for people who don't have access to large amounts of cash, right? It's not for rich people, right? But I mean, in my opinion, everyone would benefit from the insurance. It doesn't matter socioeconomic status. It should be part of like when we get a car, we get insurance. So it's the same idea.
I mean, we're fortunate here that we have OHIP, right? You want to go see your doctor, it's covered. I mean, for the most part, right? People have drug and health plans, but a lot of things are covered provincially or federally. Pets do not have that at all. So it is quite painful and a shock when people are calling around that their pet is sick. And in a lot of cases, we've seen where, somebody may be calling and their pet is sick and the pet really should be seen. And, we're saying, okay, it's, potentially going to cost you X number of dollars, for us to see the pet and do diagnostics. Because again, we can't see within your pet. We don't have X-ray vision. So it's the testing that will go and tell us what's going on. And in a lot of cases, because finances are tight, people are waiting. And they're waiting, and pets are getting more sick. Some pets aren't making it. A lot of people think, I'll see if they're better by Monday, for example. Heaven forbid, then you end up in emergency. And, at an emerge clinic, not only are you waiting for hours and hours and hours, the cost is huge. So, like Dr. Ginny says, it's one of those things where I think people think, oh, it's a luxury, it must be nice to be able to afford pet insurance. When you are actually actively paying those bills, that is what your saving grace. That monthly payment ends up being your saving grace because of what it's saving you in the end. And I mean, I've got 5 pets on insurance. 2 of them, they're never here. Touch wood. They're here for their annuals. They're healthy. They're fine. You could almost think, oh, it's a waste. The other 2 more than make up for the payment. However, should anything ever happen, I don't want to find myself in a place where I'm deciding between taking my pet to see Dr. Ginny and not having to think about the cost of each and every test versus, looking at my pet and making that decision of how much do I love you, how much can I spend, what do I have to sell, do I eat myself? Because a lot of clients that come in here have, said things like, it's going to be me or the pet this month. So it's all stuff that I think can easily be removed, but there are a lot of myths out there. And that's, I think, why Dr. Ginny wanted to do this type of thing. And, this topic is just insurance, but, you get on some Facebook pages and you see some keyboard warriors, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. So the point of this and the point of interacting with you, and hopefully people share this video as well, is so that, people feel comfortable to ask questions. This is not a, my dog is sick, what should I do kind of forum. This is just a relaxed community, kind of giving back way, but also bringing some local information which I think is very important. And we're looking forward to doing different topics. So two, please, if you have a topic, if you have questions, definitely suggest them. This is all based on interactions. And Dr. Ginny will always do her best. And in some cases, I mean, like Dr. Ginny said at the beginning, you know, continuing education is a big thing. There, you know, almost every day there is research involved in test results and calling labs, and there's so much that is changing in the field of medicine and even the diseases that are going on around us that you always have to be on top of it. So I think this is probably the best way to get across to everyone, and in a way that is hopefully meaningful. And again, we want you to be part of this as well. So,
well, we hope that we have answered all the questions. I believe we did. Right?
Answered all the questions that were submitted, yeah.
So we hope that we kind of misspelled some common misconceptions about pet insurance. We hope that if you have some more additional questions specifically for your pet, call us, email us, Facebook message us. We're very, very responsive. And I do hope that will open a communication between yourself and your veterinarian. And do some research. Never hurts to do the research and be prepared, right? And for example, if we offer one type of insurance, but you want a different type of insurance, we're not going to be like holding it.
And again, we're not affiliated with any insurance.
Yeah, we don't get paid by insurance, but we do find that having a medical insurance removes a lot of barriers. It helps us veterinarians to practice the best quality of medicine we can. It helps our pets to live long, happy, and healthy lives. And it helps you, pet parents, not to be so much stressed out over the financial part of paying the bills. So again, thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm hoping that you will join me in the next couple weeks. I don't know if we have a topic yet.
I don't think we have a topic yet.
We will decide the topic. If you have suggestions, if something is on your mind, please send us a message. We definitely will listen to your suggestions. Ask us questions. That's what we are doing those series for.
And share the video. The more people that
hear this, the better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and see you next time.